Before we get started, please take the time to like, add, and subscribe to our pages on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, please leave us a review. Underlooked is like St. Regis, that little town, it's on I-90. You stop, they have the aquarium there that you can go look at the trout of Montana. And
don't call it an aquarium. It is an aquarium, I get that, but it's at a truck stop. It's at a gas station.
We can wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Cling,
clink, click, clack, clickety clack, clack of the click of the click of the claps. How you doing?
Fantastic, my man. I'm just back from another week of wandering. How are our wanderers? Hope you guys had a wonderful week. It's just great being back, talking about some great stuff today. Traveling, that's kind of the main topic, and I'm super excited to get into it and talk about some locations that we're going to be at this summer, and then as well as talk to them from our experience today. And I'm super excited because it's always fun to talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, lining up this episode, I kind of did forget that we will technically be in a good amount of these places this summer. I mean, shoot, I'm running a half marathon in one of them, so
exactly. And if you guys
forgot about that.
No, exactly. And if you guys haven't caught on by now or read the title, it is Western Montana we're going to talk about. And what I like, I'm from Montana. You've been out here enough, and we're, like we said, we're going to get in and explore these areas this summer. We've explored them in the past. It's going to be super sight. And just like Montana, we recorded this, the Q&A episode the same day as this one. And we talk about the weather in the opening. If you guys remember, if you haven't heard that episode, go back and check out the last Q&A we do. But talk about the weather, man. And I was talking about it being 40, 50 degrees. Well, here came the snow, man. Here it is. The snow is coming down. It hasn't stopped. I would say about 4 o'clock, this motherfucker started coming down, and it has not stopped. Like, you can't even see my tracks anymore in the snow. That's how much snow is coming down. And I'm getting kind of worried because I was like, yeah, I could take my little Honda to Oregon at the end of it, like in the week here. And now, if Billings is getting this, what does the mountains get? I'm in awe with how much is coming down. February 20th, it's crazy. This is the most snow we've gotten all year.
I think the biggest jaw-dropping thing or biggest awe moment is that everyone's finding out that we sometimes record 2 in the same day.
Well, that's like I said, because I'm going to Oregon and New Orleans. If you guys are paying attention, you might understand the method to our madness, but most of you think it's just madness.
Yeah, it's mostly madness, not much method.
It works out. But that's part of it. We got our busy lives. We know you guys have your busy lives, and we just try to make the most of it, because we know every day we can't be out in nature, even though we wish we could, and we're striving to. Every day we push ourselves to go out there more and more, and we hope you are too. And that's just part of it. Is we're bringing you our, just like everyday backpacker, right? We're bringing you our everyday experience out in nature. And hope you learn from it. Hope you get some cool, exciting news. And
speaking of the snow and everyday backpacker, I saw that he was running, and man, he was covered in ice on his run today. I was like, that does not look fun.
No, and he probably went on his run like, I'm gonna try and do this before the snow. Like that's what I was doing. I was moving my car and stuff around, and I got it. Because Thea likes to park in our parking spot. And so today she came home. So I'm like, I got to move the car around back so she can park in the parking spot. And I did it as the snow, and it's crazy, man. It's nuts. And, Kelman, shout out to him, everyday backpacker. Hopefully you're listening in. You got some good stuff coming out. I saw that you did he did skiing. with some friends, snowboarding with some friends. They went down to the mountain and had a good time. And I think that's typically outside of his comfort zone a little bit. So
It looked like he had a good time, you know. He's probably
oh,
still a better skier or snowboarder than me. So at the
right.
end of the day, hip hip.
Speaking of snowboarding, Josh got a concussion doing it. And I was like, you know
Pretty
what?
common.
Yeah. And I was talking to my mom and dad about it. And I said, Josh, it's his first year of snowboarding. And the dude was already bragging, like, I went 45 miles an hour on a snowboard. And I'm just like, dude, you're in year one, cowboy. You're pushing it a little too hard.
Was it a good concussion?
Oh, they say his eyes are dilated and he's just out of it these last couple of days.
Damn, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a real good one.
You
I've seen some real good ones lately, which is not actually a good thing. So hopefully things died down in the old concussion department.
right? No, those are never fun. But I think it's time. I think we can get into today's episode of Western Montana. Just because it's that great. You're coming out here. You're spending what, like 2 weeks out here in Montana or something like that. It's that worth it. So we're going to spend some time and talk about it.
Well, actually, I'm just coming for your wedding. That's really it.
Well, we want to make the most of it.
No. It is worth it. It is worth it. But since I'm going out there for a reason, I'm trying to make the most of that trip. And Western Montana seems to be the ticket. The Montana breakdown was not inspired, or the Montana series breakdown was not inspired by our trip this week or this summer. It just happened to coincide. But yes, we're going to break down Western Montana for you all. This is the third part in the Montana series. If you haven't, make sure you check out the Montana breakdown. It's the general one. Make sure you check out our redo of Yellowstone National Park, because Yellowstone is a big reason people go to Montana, even though, yes, Yellowstone is technically in Wyoming. I have received all of the memos saying people saying that. I want to let you know, we know that. People just go to Montana with the idea of going to Yellowstone, so we decide to throw it in.
I like that. I like that experience, that explanation. Montana takes credit for more of Yellowstone than Wyoming, because, like I said, there's the three entrances from Montana, the three main entrances. Because even that south entrance, like even Wyoming they'll disown Jackson Hole. And you're coming up your Tetons. So I get it. I totally get it. It's such a beautiful place too, Western Montana. And I think a reason it deserves its own little spot is, there's enough, one, to talk about, but two, people will make their trips specifically to Western Montana. They're going to a Kalispell, a Missoula, a Bozeman, those mountain towns, those mountain cities here in Montana. And you're not necessarily getting out on the east side. So we thought we'd hone in on that. And also, to your point being said, this is a request from you, the wanderers, saying, hey, I like traveling to Montana. I like traveling to these places. When you guys give a bandit, we're going to give it back to you. We're going to give it to you the way you guys like it, right in the eardrums, so you can hear our sweet, sweet voices telling you about your national parks, just like that babbling brook and Old Faithful doing its thing, swimming like a trout. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And this is honestly my favorite part of Montana, is the Western, because it is the mountains. So, I mean, if you like the mountains, this is the part of Montana to really make sure you go and check out. There's all of the typical mountain activities that you can do in this part of Montana. And also a big plus, there's some great whitewater rafting in this part of Montana. I've been fortunate enough to do it on 2 rivers in this part of Montana, and they're pretty solid. I highly recommend the whitewater adventure if you're in this part.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. And again, we're going to be doing it again this summer because why the heck not? It's always fun to get out into Western Montana, get on those crazy rivers. You have like the Clark's Fork, the Big Hole, the Three Forks River where the Missouri River begins. You have the Jefferson, the Madison, the Gallatin, all these awesome rivers and the Mission Mountains, the Swan Sealy Range Mountains, the Homestake Pass and Butte, the Homestake Mountains, the Tobacco Root Mountains, these crazy beautiful places that Western Montana is filled of. And what I like about it is it's so big and so open, and there's in every valley there's something to do and explore in, especially when it comes outdoors. Like you said, there's so much rafting. You've only been on two rivers, and I'm sure there's someone here in Montana that would say you haven't even been on the best rivers. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm very sure that is, one of the times was in a very, very tourist oriented spot, right there on the Yellowstone. That was a fantastic time though. The other time was on the Blackfoot River, and that one was an amazing time, even though I was in charge of the rowboat the whole time. But
this year you won't be.
yeah, well, hell no, I'm not. There's no way I'm doing that again, even though I am in better shape than I was last time. And I was in good shape last time. I'm not gonna lie.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say you might actually be all right with
it. Yeah. Well, I'd probably do better, to be honest, if we did do it again. But I don't want to. I don't want to cash myself out. I'm already going to be cashing myself out with too many other activities. We have to get to a chalet, and that's going to cash me out along with the half marathon. So
the best part of the chalet is it's at the end. So it is going to be well worth it.
Yeah, no, it is. No, that will be. But we're right. If you're thinking like Western Montana, and you're thinking, I'm going to use quotations here because I think it's appropriate, big city of Montana, you're going to be looking at Missoula. But when it comes down to it, Missoula is more of a college town, which is what's appealing about it. It sits down in these hills, and there's a lot of nature kind of things to do around it. That's what makes, and there's an airport, so it's a good base. It's a good fly-in point if you're trying to get to Western Montana, because you can from Missoula. I don't think it's halfway between Glacier and Yellowstone. It's probably a little bit closer to Glacier, but it's not a bad spot if you're trying to split the two.
No, it's not a bad spot. Butte would probably be more of a middle ground there for airport wise between the two parks. But like you said, this one's going to probably be more affordable. It's larger, better chance of renting a car. And Missoula, right? It's a larger town. There's going to be more restaurants, more places to stock up on supplies. Like you said, the University of Montana is there. And that university, that football team is they've won some national championships. That's what they've been known for. That stadium is built right up against the mountains. Like you're saying, that whole city's right at the bottom of those mountains. And when you see some historic pictures of Missoula, you see the native, the Kootenai and Salish tribes there actually with those same mountains in the background all the time. And kind of sad that they built the city and university right over that native land, but they do a good job at honoring it. And there's quite a few ski resorts actually quite right out of the Missoula area too, which also makes it really appealing. So you can make it your home base for doing those activities. Lolo, which is that bar we ate at with that big group, remember, with Vince and everyone, when we came up and we drove about half hour south. There's even hot springs within an hour, 2 hour drive easy.
Yeah, I think Missoula is a great kind of fly-in point if you're wanting to do this Western Montana. And we are going to kind of, I guess, shimmy on a little bit north from there. You start getting into, as you pointed out last time, the Bob Marshall wilderness or whatnot. But when you head north from Missoula, you do get into some real cool areas. There's great lakes. I heard there's at least one or two. There's glaciers, up north that way. I mean, we're not going to get into Glacier much right now because we're going to save it for when we actually go this summer. So spoiler, stay tuned. But there's Sealy, which is where we've been. I mean, you've been there probably a handful of times.
15 years.
Yeah. So, that's at least more than 4 times. So
sometimes 4 times in a summer. No, exactly. No, and it's a good base camp for what we like to do in Western Montana. The Sealy area is very remote. You're out in the mountains, like you said, the Bob Marshall area. You actually would enjoy, after we had the conversation, I looked up Bob Marshall a little bit more and did some reading on him. You would actually enjoy who he was as a person.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be about it. But yeah, exactly. Right up there, you have that whole Sealy Swan Valley. You have the drive from Missoula to Ronan. You pass the garden of 10,000 Buddhas. There's that. You go up there. There's the Flathead Reservation, which is a very interesting reservation because it's what we call checkerboarded. So yes, there's like you see on a map that there's borders and stuff. But really, inside those borders, the land is checkerboarded, where some of it's private and some of it's reservation, and that's why it looks different. Their university is a very good leading Native university in the state, the tribal college there. But then you get into the bougie, Whitefish towns, Columbia Falls, right outside of Glacier Park there. You have Kalispell, which is an interesting neck of the woods, a larger city up there. That's another one you can fly into if you're going to the Glacier area. And then if you really want to get interesting, you can head over to Libby or Eureka, and then the northwest corner of the state, where it gets into some real logging country and some real remoteness. There's a lake up there. I'm blanking the name. I'm going to come to me later. But Jared Knoxon Reservoir. Jared always wants to fish it, and it's because they have the only largemouth bass fishing tournament in the state, and Jared's a big largemouth bass fishing guy. So kind of interesting.
You like the largemouth bass? That's the place to go. Is all the way up in northwest Montana.
Yeah, they always do. There's a town up there called Eureka. They're over in the northwest corner, right? And then when you get out to the east corner, you have a town called Ekalaka, and it's in the bottom southeast corner. And both those schools always, every year, they do like a thing where it's like, how many miles have they traveled for sports?
Oh,
yeah. So far. Yeah.
I mean, that makes a difference how much you travel when you do the sports deal.
Well, that's like 700 miles.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, from those two. Yeah.
I mean, I've been to some of the smaller, like northern towns there. What's that pole bridge there right outside? I mean, that's like what, 10 buildings?
If that even.
Yeah, they do have a hostel though. I remember seeing the sign for a hostel there, which makes sense. A lot of there's actually usually hostels around national parks because some people like to stay in the hostels and then they'll go into the park and then out of the park type deal.
Well, and you could argue out west, especially, hostels really haven't changed from what they've always historically been. Because there's, you always had, like, take Billings, for example, there's a historic hotel called the Dude Rancher Lodge here. And that was kind of one that it really was like a dude ranch lodge that you could stay at when you came to Billings in the Old West days and then go on to your next destination. And they've just kind of evolved in the sense that hostels kind of, to me, have just stayed the same.
Yeah. You typically, I think in the West, you see it more around, like the train stops, because that's how it was easy to travel by train at one point. And now most people are by car or some sort of vehicle.
But exactly that, you can take the train to West or East Glacier, and there's hostels both real close to the train, as well as the fact that you can take the train to get up to northwestern Montana. If you want to tour northwestern Montana, rent a car in Kalispell or something, you're able to take that train. And that's one, Gerald did it to Portland. He took it from Browning up there to Portland.
Oh, really?
They have like a dining car and whatnot. He loved it. He said it was really cool to do. Yeah.
I've heard that, like, it's Amtrak that does it, and I've heard that it can be a cool experience. The biggest thing that I've noticed with it is it's a bit spendy.
And time. I think that's the problem is it becomes part of the adventure.
Yeah,
For
that's why. Well, that's why you would do it. You're not hopping on a train going like, man, am I gonna save some time and make it up with money type deal? No, you've decided the train because you want to make the train part of the adventure.
exactly. No, and but hey, it's worth it. What I hear to go up to Northwest Montana on that train. Maybe not stay on it and go to Eastern Montana. You might not want to do that, but you could. It goes all the way to Chicago. um,
Yeah,
it's
Chicago's a big hub for it. But yeah, no, then there's like Whitefish up
Yep.
there, which you were saying is a little bit of a bougier kind of feel.
Yeah, they're up there with the Jackson Hole, Big Sky type of town. They've kind of always been that way historically. Um, in a weird, historically, Whitefish has also been known as like whitefish, like
uh,
white people.
yeah.
But again, like I said, I haven't been up there since really we were in Glacier last, but up that area, it has changed a lot due to COVID, and COVID has changed that area because a lot of people moved up there. So that area has changed. Bozeman area has changed. Missoula area has changed a lot in the last few years because of the people moving there. Which is good for this state. It's needed in some aspects. You look at like a Billings that they think very old school sometimes. You're like, hey, it's 2022. Sometimes you got to think a little bit beyond that.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to people, moving to areas. I mean, Oregon's on the con side of things now. At the beginning, it was the pros because you get more people, you start getting more things. The state gets a little bit more money. But now you're starting to see some of the cons of that starting to flourish here in Oregon. So, doesn't mean that's going to happen to Montana. It does not mean that at all. So that's kind of for that one, over there by Whitefish and that
There's
area
tons,
there.
there's tons to do in the mountains there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say there's Flathead Lake.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a big one. If you want, which I'm not down for, but if you want, on the 4th of July, they call it the party barge, and there's a sandbar that are ever.
Oh, you were telling me about that one year someone was doing.
Yeah, Joe Byorth, who we actually interviewed on here.
That's the kid. I was trying to remember because I was going to say, there's a lot of the glamping stuff in Western Montana here. And I was trying to remember Joe's name because we interviewed him about it.
Yeah, he worked at Paws Up, which is actually near Sealy. But yeah, there's plenty of glamping up in the Whitefish Kalispell area as well.
Yeah.
Various ranges of Airbnbs, from expensive to cheap cabin, which is nice. You do get a good diversity, and that's one thing I like about going out into nature and going outdoors is you do get a diversity in like staying, right? Like I was talking to Matt, he really wants to go over to the Olympic Peninsula again and do that Bigfoot thing. And he's like, well, we could get that same Airbnb that I had, that cabin on the woods, or maybe since there's more of us, we can spend some more money. And I was like, dude, let's just do it when we do it. We'll have the experience when we want to have the experience. We won't decide that today. He kind of gets too set on like repeating an adventure that it's like, you'll never repeat that same adventure. So go on and make.
Or should you?
Yeah.
Every time you go somewhere, you want to experience something something new, and you want to experience. You want to make new memories. So it's not really. You shouldn't want to repeat the same thing. I get it. You go to the resort, you go and sit at the same bar at the resort every time. Some people like that. I think they're crazy. I really do. I think they're crazy. But that's them. That's them. I don't think they should try and relive a vacation. They should make a new vacation.
No, I agree with you. You know, like I say, I don't mind going to parks. That's why I like going with new people, right? It's a new experience. But when you go, exactly what you're saying, you go, don't do the same thing. Go try a different Airbnb. You might like that one more. Go try a different, city to camp in or stay in. It's like we could be staying in Chico when you come out here to go, when we stay down there, but we're going to stay at the pit and pray. We're going to camp right out under the stars in front of Colton's house. No.
There we go. But yeah, and then the other part about like this kind of area of Montana, and I don't think it gets it does, definitely way less people, but you can do a lot of stuff in the winter out this area too. So just it's not just like a summer destination and go hit a lot of these.
Exactly. There's skiing, there's snowmobiling, there's all sorts of winter activities that you can do, cross country skiing. The other thing I was going to say too is another area of northwestern Montana that I think goes underlooked is like St. Regis, that little town. It's on I-90. You stop, they have the aquarium there that you can go look at the trout of Montana.
Oh, don't call it an aquarium. It is an aquarium, I get that, but it's at a truck stop. It's at a gas station. So it's not like a real aquarium, but it is technically, you are right, it is technically an aquarium, but
they have all the different trout species of Montana, which is cool. But St. Regis is a cute little town itself. It's right on the Clarks Fork River there, which is a beautiful river. On a nice sunny morning when the sunrise is coming up and you get the fog on the river, you're driving by it, it's great. But there's just some interesting areas in there as well.
St. Regis is worth the stop for gas. It's worth the stop for gas because you can see the aquarium and get your gas filled all at the same time.
There you go. That's a good one. But I think we drop on down over to south of Missoula there, because you take that Bitterroot Valley, right? You go through Stevensville, Hamilton, Darby, and that'll take you over into Idaho there. But that area, that's like Lolo Hot Springs, that's Lolo Pass, where Lewis and Clark were down there. Stevensville's a nice little cute town. Hamilton and Darby, that's where they filmed the series Yellowstone. Beautiful valley. I mean, it's an expensive one to move to now. People are doing that. But nothing but good things in the Bitterroot. I should say, like, it's a good one. There's some.
You wouldn't say it's very bitter in the Bitterroot, huh?
You could, because it's the Bitterroot. The Bitterroot flower is the flower, and I'm sure that got its name somehow.
Oh, probably, yeah.
But I like, honestly, when you jump on over from there, you get kind of down into the Dillon, the Virginia City area in that southwest corner of Montana. You're kind of on the Idaho border. Really good hunting area. Another, just beautiful mountain views and good Montana valleys. There's a lot of history down there. There's a lot of ex mines, just ones that have been abandoned, things that weren't really worth it. They're not really worth it anymore. There's rubies and sapphires that are found throughout down south. So, when you go to these old towns like Virginia City or Bannock, Ennis, all these cool places, and they're close to the Big Sky Bozeman area too. So if you're kind of in that area, these are also worth going to. But it's I think too, when it comes to Montana, it's you're going to find what you want to find if you're looking for something.
Yeah, the Virginia City, I've never been, but it's kind of like it's the old mining, but isn't it big with casinos?
Kinda.
Oh, I must be thinking of a different city then.
You're thinking it's kind of like Deadwood in that sense, where Deadwood.
Oh, it's kind of like a Deadwood,
but not necessarily as bougie casinos. Okay. They're more like your Montana bar.
Well, Montana just has casinos everywhere, so
it's the liquor law. If you want to sell liquor, you got to have a casino, and that kind of bullshit is going to create that. So it's like you don't really have gambling towns to go to. So it's like, that's why it's not, you wouldn't go to Virginia City to gamble. I think back in the day they did a little bit more. It's a lot of like the old cowboy history, the West, the bandits, there's a lot of that type of history. There's a lot of museums too in this state. We talked about that before. I actually pulled up a list of museums, when you look at the western side of Montana, there's quite a bit. Missoula has quite a bit. Kalispell has some. Lolo has one. Every county has a museum.
Missoula has a Bigfoot museum, don't they?
I'm just gonna go by city. How about that?
There was something in Missoula Bigfoot related, I believe.
Well, we'll have to check that out this summer. Missoula has the Children's Art Museum, Fort Missoula, Missoula Art Museum, Montana Museum of Art and Culture, Natural History Museum, Museum of Flying, National Forest Service Museum, Museum of Military History, Spectra Discovery Area. Maybe it's at the Zoological Museum in Missoula. There is what you're thinking.
Yeah, where did we hear that? I swore we heard it. But sometimes I make shit up.
Well, but again, you're saying, where did I hear that, right? And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, there's probably some Bigfooter that is on something more than
yeah, true.
Middle of the search. No. No, but like I said, here's Stevensville, right in the Bitterroot Valley, Fort Owen State Park. There's a museum there. Like I swear to God, every town has a museum. If you want to.
Yeah, like all of Montana and Western Montana, especially, there's just a lot of stuff you can do, a lot of cool shit to see. You're gonna see anything you want, and it's all gonna be cool because it's just all cool shit in nature. So I was kind of thinking of getting into sport fishing again, but I feel like I need a good quality net.
Well, you know what, Reverend? I got the key solution for you. Our friends at Blue Ribbon Net make this eco-friendly aquafade bag, so you're not hurting the environment. It's 100% biodegradable. Plus, the wood is locally sourced, and it is also biodegradable, and it's just such a great company to use. The Blue Ribbon Nets, they're here in Bozeman, Montana, and we even have a discount code. That's right. If you use the code Rougarou10, that's right. That's my Jeep, the Rougarou. Rougarou10, RUGARU10. You're going to get some discount on a Blue Ribbon Net. You can get the long one if you're fishing the big fish, or you can get just the good river one, if you're like me and just want to catch a lot of fish.
So again, make sure you go check out Blue Ribbon and use the promo code Rougarou10.
Hey there, Reverend. I heard that you might be running dry on your sticker supplier.
Yeah, I've been looking around and I've kind of run out of cool stickers to buy and put on water bottles and stuff.
Well, I mean, have you seen the stuff Josh has been coming out with lately?
No, I have not.
Well, he is doing some really cool stuff with the Shop LS 574. Yes, they're working with indigenous communities and making some really cool stickers. He has a really cool Buffalo Mountain sticker. There's even water bottles, hats, sweatshirts, the whole swag. And we even got a discount code for you guys. Yes, if you use Wandering Ways at Shop LS 574, you're going to be getting a discount on your next purchase. But not only that, you're going to be giving a percentage of that sale to the Little Shell Tribe, as well as they donate $1 of every sale to murdered and missing Indigenous women. So just such a cool thing going on there. You use the code Wandering Ways, WANDERING WAYS, and you put that in there, boom, you're getting a discount.
And speaking of cool shit in nature, it is time for this week's cool shit in nature. And this time I've got two again. So I'm gonna start off with a picture. I just kind of liked this picture, so that's why I went with it. Um,
You always pick two, I've noticed
I
recently.
have lately, just because
Recently.
literally how I find these for people that are curious of how I find the cool shit in nature is I get periodically like 10 minutes of like of a break here, dead time at work. And so I just start scrolling and I say, oh, that's some cool shit, save it. And then I bring it up here. So I have backlogs and backlogs of these. And sometimes I get afraid that I'm not going to be able to share all of them. So then I just like, I'll start doing two. And if I start running low, that's when I'll have like one. That's when you'll notice I only have one.
I get that. No, that's fair. That's fair. I do like that you do multiple though sometimes. And I do like that you also keep, I've noticed you'll keep relevant with some. So
Yeah.
props to you.
I try. But no, this one, because we haven't mentioned it for the people that are just listening to this, not the people watching on YouTube or Spotify. Make sure to check out the Spotify if you want to watch it. But this one is, it's just a tree in the savannah with a lot of lions in it.
Yeah, I count like eight, nine.
Oh, I think there's more than that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10.
Oh, geez. I bet you there's more on the other side too.
Yeah, there probably is. This one was captioned when I found it. It was lions treating the savannah or playing the savannah is lava. So
That's cool. I mean, they're all sitting up in the tree. I mean, it does look a little photoshopped, but at the same time, too, I could also see, cats are cats, right? Like, let's go chill in this shaded tree today. We're
yeah,
not gonna go hunting till night. You know,
no, this looks like that prime. I'm just gonna chill here for the mid morning.
the pride, right?
Yeah, yep. Um, okay, so going to the other one. This one's a video. And this one for the people just listening is a sea turtle finds a big old piece of coral, and just decides to make it its bed. And this guy, he found a good spot to take a nap.
Yeah, you did.
So this guy came up right up. Sea turtles are just so cool. So
They really are.
anytime you can get a sea turtle in here, that's a plus in my book, I think. So
I think if they bit you, though, it would suck.
oh, 100%. But I'm not going to go put myself in a situation where I get bit by a sea turtle.
Like I'm looking at his nose here because you get real close up on his nose and like that beak kind of mouth that they have.
Yeah.
That would hurt. But no, he's a beautiful little guy there. Just
Yeah, he
laying,
is. And he's got the fish hanging out with him.
getting clean. Shaking a big old yawn.
Oh, his yawn's making you yawn.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
contagious yawns are for
It
everybody.
is. Turtle yawn got me.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. No, but yeah, so that's the cool shit in nature. So hopping on back to our breakdown, we're gonna hop to another one of the, and I'm gonna use quotes here because I think it's appropriate, one of the big cities of Montana, the other big college town, which is Bozeman, Montana.
No, you know what's funny is Bozeman folk. They act like the world is on fire, and that's why they get the California love, as I call it, the Los Angeles, go back to California because you just can't handle the snow. That's that stereotype, that area, right? And they get all, oh my God, we're growing. You're talking a town of like 30,000 people and they grew by 10,000. Yeah, that's a third. But they act like they're growing so big. And it's like, Billings grew by 20,000. We grew by double what you guys grew by. And it was nothing. We're at 120 now. You're at, like, don't
Yeah.
act like it's that big. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh
Amongst the
no, 100%, but it's again, it's the pros and cons of, when people move in, things do change, whether you like it or not. It will change, and for the better or for worse, things do change. There'll be
well,
some pros, there'll be some cons.
I'm interested because they have a law there that only allows buildings to be built so high. And
Oh,
the tallest building is one of the dorms on campus, and that's like because of obstructing the mountain view.
ah, well, one of two things would happen. You're either going to expand out or you're going to switch it up and want to expand up. My guess is they're going to take the Vegas approach and just spread out.
But they're now is when they're running into the problems where the ranchers are jacking the price up, and ranchers also don't want to sell to developers at some. So it's in an interesting. That's why Bozeman's it was at a point where people sold and it grew, and now it's starting to hit that wall again. That's why prices are going up because it's not
Yeah.
growing. But it's a cool spot. There's a lot to do there. That's kind of a good main hub. There's ski resorts. You got Big Sky real close. You also have the one in Belgrade, or not Belgrade. It starts with the Bridger Bowl is right around the corner there as well, kind of north of Bozeman. And that's a nice one that kind of goes underrated for people who
Yeah,
kind of.
Bozeman, it's the other big college town. Now, it's not as college towny as like Missoula is, like that has a true college town feel.
Yes.
Bozeman doesn't have quite that kind of feel like Missoula does, but it is still a college town. Montana State is there, those crazy Bobcats. And the little bits that I've been in Bozeman, it's been good. It's been a good time. You definitely, the last time I was in Bozeman, definitely got the slightly more West Coaster feel thrown into Bozeman because I was like with my family and we were like downtown. And you can definitely see that there's that West Coast influence because I think I saw some like avocado toast or something at like a lot of places.
Los Angeles.
Yeah. So, but it's still, yeah, I'm a West Coast kid, so I like that shit, but it's still a great place to go. So,
I'm
we mentioned it's a good hub. They have a great airport.
Well, honestly, it's the best airport in the state, and that's because it's privately owned.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, a lot of movie stars actually have stakes in that one. There's a lot of private hangars. It's a really cool town. Like you said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of influence. No, Bozeman's great. I'm glad I was able to experience Bozeman, especially in my college years, going to that college town. You know, when I was in high school, Bozeman, there was a lot of kids going to Bozeman for high school, but that was about it. It was just popular in that sense. But kind of my age going through it and the now age, it's becoming one of the more popular engineering schools. It's a very interesting campus to begin with. And it's driving that the nature, the outdoors, that's what's pushing people to come there from all next to the wood, because I can go to school and I can go ski. I can go to school. I can go snowmobile. It's right there. I can go fish. I can kayak, all these cool things right at my fingertips. Definitely a cool town. It's starting to become more of a collegey town, especially by campus. I would say when you talk about vibes, exactly. Missoula, it's a historical college town. Where Bozeman, yes, the college has historically been there, but it's not a historical college town. It's a tourist town, and
Yeah.
I think it's okay to have both, but it's a different vibe.
It is. I'm not saying like there's one that's better than the other. It's like a different, it's the classic argument with Oregon State, right? Oregon State's definitely more collegey and Eugene's a little bit more of like people say the urban. It's not like necessarily truly urban, but it is more of an urban kind of style and feel. People have both great experiences at both places, even though we know there is one superior than the other, but we can let you decide that, even though the answer is Oregon State. And it's the same out there with Bozeman, Missoula, right? You have great time in either spot. There's just different feels to the town, whereas Bozeman is a little bit more touristy because um it's a good hub to a lot of different things.
Well, and Yellowstone is open in the winter too, so people will stay in Bozeman and go down to a West Yellowstone and take the snow coach into the park. You're close to Big Sky, you're close to Bridger Bowl, you're even close to Helena, which is the capital. So if you have a meeting in Helena, people are going up there. You have the Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman, so it's a really good spot. You have the Three Forks rivers. It's a natural gathering place. It's the historic Three Forks, the rivers in Three Forks there, which is only 30 miles away from Bozeman. So that same valley, it's a historical treaty. It's why tribes in Oregon and Washington can go hunt bison in Yellowstone Park. They have those treaty rights because they would come over the mountains to the Three Forks area with all the other tribes here in Montana and hunt bison together. So it's a natural crossroads in that sense. And it's a beautiful crossroads. I love going out that way. You're close to the Canyon Ferry Lake. You're close to Georgetown Lake, all these beautiful places and historical towns. And you get into the Lewis and Clark Caverns, which isn't too far from there. You get up, like I said, up into Helena, you get to the Capitol, you can tour the Capitol. There's a lot of historical stuff there. There's even the old mines in both Butte and Helena you can go to. And we were able to go down into one of the copper mines for a tour at Butte one time. And that was interesting. I'm glad I did it. I don't think I would go back personally. But it's cool. And then you got the ghost towns of Montana, which I think are really interesting, like Garnett Ghost Town, which might be something we check out by the Seeley Lake area, because that's something that we drive by quite a bit, and I think I pointed it out to you a couple times. But it's a nice little, 2-mile hike down to a abandoned town, because that's part of the West. That was part of, they would build up a town and then abandon it.
Yeah, that is very true. They just build up and they're like, I'm out. All right, peace. The Museum of the Rockies in Bozeman is a good museum. I've been to it. First time I ever went to Bozeman, or first time I ever stopped in Bozeman. I think I'd been to Bozeman before, but I never stopped in Bozeman until we went to Museum of the Rockies, and it's a great one. It's a great one. It's got some dinosaur stuff in it, which is really cool. It's got classic, just kind of typical historical things that happened in the area, and they have like the space kind of observatory thing. Heard really good things about it. The one time I did it, I fell asleep in it. That's because we were driving all day. Had a fantastic nap when we did do it, but yeah, we did we did fall asleep while doing it.
It is a good one. I do like their star program. They also have the traveling exhibits. So like some museums get the traveling exhibits. That is one of the ones that gets the main one. I saw King Tut's stuff there.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I do like going to Bozeman, even though I give it so much shit. It's a cool little place. It's different. It's a part of Montana. It's part of who Montana is, and that's, I think, what I like about Montana, when you talk about it from the diversity of Eastern to Western, and just the things in between that you can find, is a Missoula is different than a Bozeman, and it's different than a Kalispell, and it's different than a Livingston. It's different than a Billings, it's different than a Great Falls. You go to each one and it's like, what the heck? But that's Montana, it's big towns, big cities that survive, the little communities around them survive off these big cities, or we call them big cities here because that's what they are, but they really aren't. These little towns come and like thrive off Billings. They thrive off Missoula and Bozeman because that's it. That's the hub.
Yeah.
And I think people get worry of that when traveling in Montana. And that is something to be concerned with. Is, yeah, that might be a town on the map, but does that town have the services you need?
That's a very good point. The other thing is, we've mentioned Yellowstone in the winter, how people will fly into Bozeman there to go to Yellowstone for the winter. But in the winter time, very popular there to go to Big Sky. Big Sky is the big skiing spot out in that direction. Um, I think every time you bring it up, you bring up the fact that there's like some sort of celebrity that goes there and whatnot.
Tom Brady's cabin is in
That's
Big
the
Sky.
one you always mention. It's Tom Brady's cabin, and
Because if you're going to call him the GOAT for coming here every 4th of July and taking his offensive line and taking his family up here, and I've been doing that before him, taking my family up to Seeley Lake up here in Montana, doing the right thing, showing you off nature. Shit, I'm the GOAT.
yeah, a big difference there. And he just has to go like what this, I think.
He just had to cheat to do this.
Yeah, so hey, he still has them. He's got more than you. So
We praise him for it. The man destroyed a cell phone, and we praise him for it.
I'm just saying he's got more than you. But yeah, no, Big Sky, that's popular for skiing, that kind of stuff. So if you're into it, winter's a fantastic time to go to Montana, and probably this is the place to go in Montana if you're going for the winter, because there is a lot more of that kind of stuff to do in this area. Not that you can't do it in else places, right? We talked about cross country skiing. We've talked Whitefish. That area has some skiing as well. But Bozeman's probably like the top notch. Or maybe it's not. I don't, I'm not a skier, so I don't know. I haven't compared, but it seems to be.
It depends. See, in Montana is interesting because when you talk to the snowboarders, skiers, and whatnot, right? It's the what are you in it for? When you talk to them about like the lodge and the overall that kind of experience, yeah, Big Sky hands down.
Yeah.
Bridger, great experience, but when you talk about snow, people it really depends on the type of snow they're getting that year, if it's more wet, more dry. For example, I've heard Red Lodge here by Billings, right? For example, it gets some of the best snow if it's a snowy year. If it's not a snowy year and more of a wet year, they call it, you're skiing on ice, they call it rock dodge, different things like that. And different resorts have those things, it's like you, depending on the year, which one am I going to go to, which pass am I going to buy? The shitty thing about Billings is, right, if you're not going to Red Lodge, you're going over to Bridger or to Big Sky because those are the next closest. But when you're over in that area, you have a little bit more to choose from. I would say if you're a skier in the winter and you want to hit like more, like you want to hit as many resorts, I would say make your base in Missoula or Kalispell because there's more options around there. You even have the ski resort right there on the Idaho-Montana border, right off I-90, right at the state line. So there's all sorts of those type of activities. There's snowmobiling, ice fishing, regular fishing, hiking, kayak, canoe, anything you name it. You
Yeah,
can do it outdoor here.
for sure. But yeah, it's actually kind of perfect timing because I can be that guy. And I can be that guy that says we are getting to the end of today and we're going to get into our final words. Again, this is like part 3 of our Montana series, so make sure to check out the other ones. But without getting too much long-winded, final words, my guy.
Again, Montana's a big state. This was hundreds of miles we were covering. People act, they come from places where they come from places that things are a lot closer, easier to get to, not as much time put towards them. So I think when you come here, it is something that people, and I think that's the beauty in it too, of what people find in Montana, is that like we are the only thing out here. There is a lot of space. Holy heck, I don't see our neighbors, you know what I mean? Like just that kind of just craziness of nothingness that Montana gives you. And I think it's overwhelming at first because you almost don't know how to react to it, but that is the peacefulness it brings. So when you do plan these trips, think about that. Think about like part of coming to Montana for vacation is enjoying the overall experience, taking in that fresh air, taking in the peaceful vibes, almost as if like the time doesn't exist, the clock doesn't exist while we're out here. Because like I said, if you want to go, you're most likely coming to Montana to do something outdoor activity. So focus on the outdoor activity. If you're going fishing, find the best fishing, right? If you're going skiing, find the best skiing that you want to do, because that's where you're going to have the most fun. Don't think about the things in between, because I think that's where you can ruin a trip in Montana, is when you think about, oh, where am I going to eat? Where am I going to do this? Because in reality, being smaller population, there's not as many things to choose from. So with nature, that's the thing to choose from. So choose that, that's about it. I got, Reverend.
I love it. I love it. Reverend's final words of wisdom. Stay beautiful, everybody. I can't tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you guys out there. You guys are truly amazing. Yes, we talked about snow today and the things, but the weather is getting better. Spring is getting close. So it is time to start getting those outdoor activities more up, start planning some more fun things. Even if you do get the weird snowstorm, that does not mean you can't go outside, go and explore and enjoy those snow activities while you still can. That's what's awesome about it. That being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.